Evening all, welcome to Dust. And to be honest, we're showing you something a little bit different here. Well, not that different, but somebody posted in my YouTube comment, he will remain nameless because I don't want him called out. But he said something like, oh, Pyrex bro, the plasma cannon and flare lock footage is getting boring now. So I guess I've officially been told to stop doing it as much. So here we go, we're going to run the MASSDRIVER. And this is on a, I think it's actually on a militia frame as well. I could be wrong, I need to check that. But I've started running the MASSDRIVER, and actually even a militia suit with a militia MASSDRIVER is bloody deadly. So give it a go. If you want a suit that costs like 2k, and actually you won't die that much, and you'll get quite a few kills with it, and you'll get a lot of points with it, I would recommend that because it's pretty good. Anyway, let's talk about the MASSDRIVER then. I think, to be honest, it is an interesting kind of game style that I feel I bring or have in this game, is that I kind of resent aim assist. I always have hated it. I always thought aim assist was a stupid idea they should have never put in, but I also accept that console gamers don't have the advantage of mouse and keyboard players in terms of aiming. So I kind of accept that the bringing it in maybe wasn't a terrible idea, but from my point of view, I think that's kind of patronizing in my mind. I think most some of the best players in this game play with a keyboard. I almost got that wrong. They play with a pad, sorry, and they don't play with mouse and keyboard. They are some of the best players in the game by far. And I think that's kind of an interesting one to me because, to be honest, I don't know. I guess that's because aim assist is maybe there helping them do that. I know everybody uses it. Anybody who says they don't use aim assist is lying, because they do. They just do. You know they do. Why would they ever not? Because it's just the way it is. And I think aim assist is very good in this game in terms of getting shots on the target. Now, I would like to draw you to Gazbaran, ex-Gazbaran channel. He's really cool. He's like Judge. Him and Judge do some really good factual videos. None of the talky blah bollocks I do. And what Gaz did recently was actually very good. He showed the kind of strength and capability of aim assist. And when you magnify this using turbo controllers, you start to get problems. Let me explain, because we've noticed this quite a lot lately. In fact, we've even done a few posts on the forum about it. What we're noticing is a lot of people are they're doing three things, and it's one of three things. Number one, they're using an emulator, which is highly unlikely because they're not actually that easy to use. But it's basically a piece of equipment that they plug in and then simulate the mouse and keyboard, and they simulate it so that the computer thinks that it's a controller. So you get aim assist using mouse and keyboard. The likelihood of people using this is almost zero because it's just not that common. It's a bit of technology and quite a bit of programming, and to be honest, the benefit you'll get is almost zero anyway because the aim assist isn't that great generally, okay. Well, it is good. I'm mixing my words. What I'm trying to say is, for the benefit of just getting a bit of aim assist on mouse and keyboard, it's very questionable why you do that. What we are finding that a lot of people are doing, though, and this is just generally a bug with the game and that just never has been fixed, is they're using turbo button controllers. So this isn't your PS3 DS3 thingamajig. This is actually a third party from Costco, Argos, or whatever your local kind of supermarket is. And it's a cheap pile of shit plastic controller, but it's got something called controllers or turbos or programmable or whatever it is. And what that means is that you can actually program your controller, or you can just switch the turbo button on. And what it does is it then goes, instead of pressing the mouse the fire button, it goes fire 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Instead of this, it goes fire 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 continually. So you imagine it's just completely over and over. And we did some testing with this because we actually know someone with a controller who has this, and we tested it and we saw obviously what happens. And the reality is they have no rise, so there's no deviation. They hit dead on every time. And with aim assist on, that means actually that the aim assist is being engaged with every shot. So 1 2 3 4 5 6. Instead, if you just held your mouse button in, it would aim assist then fire. Whereas the programming behind the game at the moment is it would aim assist every single time that button is triggered, every split second. So your cursor actually follows the target incredibly fast. And that's how they're doing it. That's one of the most popular, we feel, kind of tricks or tips that people are using is they're using these controllers with aim assist, with combat rifles, etc. And it just means that their aim is ridiculously accurate, because if you kind of aim in the rough direction, every time you go blap, 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 with the macro button enabled or the turbo button enabled, it's actually following the target quite carefully. We'll show some footage of this. We've been hesitant to even mention this, but quite honestly, I think maybe, you know, there's not really much more we can hide from this. We've hidden this for quite some time. We don't use this. None of us in this gang use it. The Masters of the Universe are just good at the game. We don't need this shit. But whenever you find somebody who is just fucking incredibly, unerringly accurate, it's because of things like that. And the third one, so you said, I remember I said there's three. There is a third one here as well, which is actually quite baffling to me how people do this, but it is becoming more and more a thing. And I guess give it a go if you feel that you're capable enough to do it. So in your left hand, you have the keyboard. You have your WASD of your keyboard, and you use that to strafe around like I do there. So you see I'm able to really quickly strafe and etc, etc. Then in your right hand, you don't have the mouse, you have the controller. And you're then using the trigger and you're using the direction pad to then aim, okay? And that is enough to fool the computer into thinking that you're using a controller, therefore aim assist is switched on. We did some preliminary tests with this and it did seem to work. However, you know, don't quote me on this as being factually, but we did, you know, I gave it a go, and for some reason it looked like it was working, but it could have just been me aiming. So there we go. So in long summary short, I guess, or short summary long in reality, we're seeing these kind of three things generally being used. The emulator very little, because I don't think people are really that serious about a free-to-play shooter, but I'm sure someone is somewhere. The second one is obviously then the turbo assisted controller, which seems to be very, very popular at the moment, because, and again, the way you can spot them is their body shakes with every shot. So if you run up and you start shooting a rifle, their body stays still. Okay, it moves a little bit, but if you use this controller, the animation flashes between passive and then firing, hip fire, bam, 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 and the person just jibs about like crazy. That's the greatest and easiest way to obviously spot that somebody's using a turbo button controller. And I think given the benefit that aim assist does give you, it is really it's exceptional, quite honestly. Look at that triple kill, nice. It is quite incredible, the benefit that it gives you, because aim assist is not to be sniffed at when you're using the right gun. So don't bother using aim assist on mass drivers and plasmas and stuff, but you would use it on assault rifles. I think definitely I'm seeing it used on the GEC an enormous amount of time at the moment. And the other one is the Boundless. No, not the Boundless, is that right? I think it's the 6-kin. Anyway, it's the combat rifle that doesn't have an auto fire. It's actually the one that you have to kind of shoot independently. And the reason we know this is because that's pretty much the main culprit of this whole thing, is that they are just sat there basically, and you can see that, and you can hear it as well, because what you'll hear is, instead of like bap, 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 which would be like a regular shot of somebody aiming, what you hear is da-da-da, 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 like that, literally. That's my impression of a combat rifle with a macro aim assist cheating bastard behind it. And to be honest, that is it. That's how they're doing it. And yeah, I mean, to be honest, what's my opinion on this? Well, I don't care really anymore. The game, if the game was kind of still going and still going places, then I would make a real big stink about this. But to be honest, I don't care. If people are going to cheat, they're going to cheat. There's nothing you can do to stop them. In EVE, there are macroers and botters and you name it, there's cheating bastards everywhere, and I think Dust is no different. What I would say is the biggest shame of it all, though, is that pretty much most of the main groups in the game who've done very well at the game have known this for so long, and they just push their players to get these controllers, and that's what they do. And that's why they've been very successful. You'll be very difficult. It's difficult to go up against these people and win in any way, because when you have that level of advantage, they're just going to rip you to pieces. So just bear that in mind. If you ever feel that something's a little bit fishy and wrong, just leave, go and find another game, because I think the only way these cheaters will kind of prosper is if people just put up with it and keep fighting them. And the reality is that if they're going to cheat, let them cheat. What can we do? We can't stop them. It's very difficult to get anybody banned in this game, because the reality is to ban, to properly formally ban them, there has to be proof, naturally. So you have to prove that they're doing something wrong, okay? Now, if they're boosting or something like that, that's very easy to see, because obviously boosting is an obvious thing to kind of capture with a picture. Whereas if they're using body controllers, throughout the time I've done these videos, I've shown people doing this subliminally, not realizing what they were doing. And I think, to do that, I would then have to form a little video, send it to the GMs, get the GMs to then look at it and then decide upon it. To be honest, I can't be asked. If CCP are going to program this game so that those are even possibilities, then sod it, I ain't going to bother. Modern gun, the new guns they put in, like the rail rifle, did stop this. You can't use a macro turbo button on a rail rifle at all. At least I'm not aware you can. And that's a great thing, because that did mean that you had you were saved somewhat from that. But rail rifles are bloody good, so go figure. But to be honest, what can you do? I'm not gonna fly a banner and wave a flag here. A lot of people are doing it. We see it every day in every match now. Somebody is using a modded controller, somebody is using something, and they're getting real benefit from it. But again, do we care? I'm afraid not. So there we go, interesting one. MASSDRIVER footage with a bit of a heavy content behind it. Hope you enjoyed that. We'll see you next time.